All right. Uh, First thing I want to do is welcome everybody. It's kind of dreary, damp, night, a little chilly out. And when I was trying to look for places to hold these meetings, our manager is new to the area, and I said, on the North View, you're going to St. James, and we're so glad to be here. We want to thank the church, the staff, and particularly Patty Gonzalez for making us feel so comfortable. Thank you, Patty. Good job. It's always good. So anyway, little housekeeping. These are my little rules. I have a guide sheet here because you know me, I get a little bit alcohol somewhere else. So I got to keep myself kind of in mind. And the second thing is something new to me as I'm getting to older age. I had cataract surgery about 2 years ago. I have perfect 20/20 distant view. He said, you're going to be on to what kind of readers are these? Walmart readers. So I did that. Anyway, the housekeeping things, restrooms, I think we know where they are right over here, right? You have an emergency. I don't think we'll have anything, but there's exits there and exits just where the red signs are. We're required to tell you about these things. We have a sign-up sheet. Is there anybody who did not sign up? This is something we use internally. This is not going to be shared with anybody, right, Mr. Manager? It's for our information. So we have a sheet. We really need to sign up. And they're out here at the entrance, and if not, just let us know we want to do that. Now, this thing's kind of critical. I screwed up on this last night big time. Cell phones, it's always everybody's, paying attention whenever somebody's cell phone goes off. So I asked people to mute their phones. What happened last night, Mr. Manager?
Turn back on today.
I forgot to turn mine off last night. Did it went off? Okay. My brother called me with the Eastern Band now. Nope. Then he tried to call me this morning and I still had it muted. So I could never get that darn thing right. So I appreciate it if you turn down your cell phones and turn them off. Now, we're going to go through a presentation. This will be very casual. We try to make this not to get any kind of super technical. Engineers tend to do that. We have engineers here. I'm an ex-banker. We can get a little bit talking bankerish terms. So if we get out of line, raise your hand and say, what's that mean? Okay, we'll try not to do that. Now, during the presentation, we learned last night, one thing is we let people start getting in conversation with us, asking questions. And now what it does is make the evening go along a lot longer because we're coming to subjects we haven't discussed yet, and they want to jump ahead of us and ask some questions. So let us do our presentation, and we'll give you all the time you need to ask any questions. Fair enough? Now let me move along. I'd like to introduce some of the folks up here. First, we have, they'll raise their hand or something. The gentleman right there in the middle, he is a gentleman, Paul Howell, former president of the water board. On the upside, Chad Seaman with the board. This is our general manager, Jason Myers. And right here's the big guy from the Thrasher group. We all love him, know him as Thrasher Engineering. That's Doug Smith. He's our tech guy. He is the project manager. And I think there's some other people here for Thrasher. Where are you guys? Somebody's right here. Here they are. And girl. I'm sorry. I'm getting it. I did it. Marissa. Somebody had last night married. All your assistants all married members. How are you? They're all yours. All. Okay, let's get moving along here. We've had the introductions. We have a slide up here, and we'll move to the next one. I've got to find my. I got it. Right. Control. Got the introduction. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we show this picture?
That's the most important part.
One thing, these slides are real brightly colored because of these lights that they're a little less dense somewhat. So we met the folks. Now we're going to go into a little project history. The Clarksburg Water Board, we're committed to one thing, and that is delivering safe drinking water. That's what it's all about. And then maintaining our system, making improvements as they are needed. This is the people's system, and we're doing everything we can to do it first class and do it right. So tonight, as a part of that commitment, we're going to keep you informed about this ongoing effort to remove lead service lines from our system. The Clarksburg Water Board was established a long time ago. You may not know this. We were established 137 years ago. That's a long time to be in this business. And at that time, water systems all around the country started using a thing called a lead service line. And they did that because these lines, in the day, were state of the art. They were malleable, which means you could beat them with a hammer, you could bend them, do different things, and they wouldn't crack or break. They were state of the art, everybody used them. And we stopped installing these lines back, well, about 70 years ago, okay, the mid-50s. You remember lead paint when they said no more lead in paint? And they stopped that? Well, with technologies today, they started studying the lead service lines, and they were fearful of some leaching, maybe a little bit of lead that you couldn't see, or the best microphones they had, microscopes in those days. But now with the new technologies, they make a better part of the savings to remove the lines. And that's what we're going to do. We are one of the first water systems. We are the first state to go after this and get these lines out under this new proposal. And Salem's now doing it all around the state. People are going to get letters like the ones you guys got, cards, phone calls, everything, trying to determine if you had a lead line or not, or what kind of a line goes in your yard, and so on. Other cities are doing that now. We are way ahead of the curve. But across the United States, there's 9,300,000 lead service lines is what the government says. Now, a lead service line, we just take for granted that everybody knows what a lead service line is. Well, you know, water's delivered to your street or alley. That's a main line. It's where the water's delivered to all the people on your block. And then from there, from that main line, we run lines over to the meters where you live, on both sides of the street, for instance, right? That line between the meter and the main line is called a service line. That's our responsibility. That's public property, public lines. On the other side of the meter, going to your house or your business, that's your line and responsibility. You'll see it's important. When we go removing lead lines, I can think some of that stuff. We'll talk about that. I'm going to kind of go over some of this a little bit, but you're going to get a real great discussion from Doug Smith as to the more specifics about it. This is a lead service line. Oh, goodness. See how big it is? That's what serves your house. We cut this out. You could look through it. It was really pristine, clean. People, I have TV stations on us and don't go telling people there's lead in the water. We don't have lead in the water, that's right. It comes out of our treatment plant pure and everything's great. We have testing sites all over the place. But I have some TV station when we were doing all those filters to tell people we've got the National Guard helping because it's just a manpower thing. And we don't have lead in the water, but there might be an isolated case of bad service line. And when on the news that night, they said the National Guard is delivering pictures to every home that has a lead service line, lead in the water. I mean, that wasn't true. That causes a lot of problems. So we wanted to tell you this is a lead service line. It's very heavy. And after the meeting, I have it here, so you can look at it, pick it up and see. This is what we're taking out. Right? That's the line between the main line and your meter. So anyway, that's what the lead service line is. We always take it for granted. People know what that is. But that's what it is. There were some risks associated with the lead exposure that's in this line that could happen. So it was phased out back in 1986. We stopped doing it 7 years ago, back in the mid-50s, putting an example. But as we did some work at different houses and so on go in, we would, since we're opening the ground, and we see there's a lead line, we could take it out, put plain copper in. And that's what we did to replace that line. In 2021, this guy arrived at Clarksburg as our new manager. The federal EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Public Health Department of West Virginia required our board to reevaluate and to optimize our corrosion control treatment to further reduce the potential for lead to leach into the water from lead service lines. Now, remember, we passed out pictures, right? That's what they required us to do in the meantime to everybody, known and unknown. We delivered filtered pictures. The water, again, that comes from the plant, this has no lead in it. So we want to eliminate that right now. Erosion control is controlling any kind of particles that may leach from the inside of the pipes. And that's what it is. So we got to figure out what can we do to minimize that. So what we did We did sampling and saw the testing sites, and we've always had that we met the safety standards under the federal lead and copper rule. That's some of the regulations passed down by the federal government and the standards in our testing, because we had testing sites all over the test water. We then took a precautionary effort and retained a very prominent, specialized engineering firm down in Virginia to analyze our control of corrosion of the program and to see what they could determine we could do to minimize or get rid of that corrosion. And we went through that. We took pipes like these, told us we couldn't solve them. They didn't want the line disturbed. They don't want you moving these things around because they're afraid it might shake something. So we had to crimp them, right? We had to crimp them and keep the water inside that pipe. And Mr. Myers and I drove down to Newport News, Virginia, drove back that evening and dropped off these along with 5-gallon buckets of our water so they could run tests. And this company, this engineering firm, is recognized all over the country as the best. So they ran all kinds of testing, so the evaluations. And then after they did the analysis and testing the water, different things in it, and so on, to see what they could do, they proposed a plan of using orthophosphate, putting that in the water. And we ran tests on that, and it was dramatic what it did for the water system. I mean, it coats the inside of all the pipes and so on. It really minimizes any kind of leaching. Orthophosphate is something that a lot of water systems use in Fairmont and Morgantown. They use it. It's a food grade substance. If you drink soda pop and stuff like that, most of it has orthophosphate in it. And there's a lot of uses for that. Thankfully, it works good in water systems. So we did that, and the government agencies reviewed what we did, and they found that everything was working as intended. And just recently, they told us that we didn't have to continue to provide filtered pitchers anymore, that has been lifted by the regulatory process, which saves a lot of money and time. I'm managing over here because this guy is from Parsons, West Virginia. We hired him as our new general manager in 2021. 1 week after that, that's when we found out the lead service line issue. So I tried to get Parsons to take it back and take the lines with him, but they wouldn't do that. So I mean, right this first week, at the end of that, he's got to face this lead line issue, and then it's become a major project. The recent revision of federal lead and copper rule requires all water systems to inventory. In other words, to check and see what you have. Service lines, lead lines, the customer lines, and so on. And we have to document it and do that. That's what we did here. See the slide on the left, it tells us what our lines are made of. We got cast iron, copper, ductile iron, galvanized, lead, plastic, so on. 8,526 metering sites is what we had. That's how many customers we could reproducible. The big thing on the right side, what they wanted to know is galvanized lines. They wanted to know about that. And they wanted to know, do this test or a study for people's homes and businesses. And they wanted to know what kind of material was used in these pipes. And as we did, we completed the inventory, and the combination of these records, we did customer surveys, visual inspections, and predictive modeling. We actually go out and dig up to see what's underground. I mean, the lines are underground. We've been at this since 1887. We didn't have computers. We had a lot of things that were done on paper. Back in 1950 or 1947 or 1960, they make a call, a service call to your house, and help you with a correction and need or whatever. They fill out a service report. And on that report, you'll even say copper line, whatever it was. So it wasn't like going to a computer and looking. We had to get our staff. We had a lot of people going up into our building, bringing all these old paper files back for years and going through them manually and clocking all that stuff. Now we're doing everything what's on the computer, and that really helped us. So you saw point. I don't know if I can get it to work or not, but that is critical. Is that on the galvanized there? Yeah. Okay. This is very key. We're going to hear more about this from Doug, from Thrasher. If your water line that runs from the meter to your house is galvanized, that's a problem, potential health issue. Particularly, this is where it is. If you've got a lead line coming from the main line to the street to the meter, and it's followed by a galvanized line going in your house, it's not healthy, it's not good. We're going to recommend that's going to be removed. But don't become alarmed because that's on your property. Okay, technically, you have to do that on your own. So it's not going to be mandatory. But to make it easy, the Clarksburg Water Board is going to pay to have that done from the meter into where your shuttle valve is at your house. And we will do that. It'll be explained about who can do it, the plumbers, and all that. We'll go through that, right, Doug? So don't become alarmed and say, we want you to remove galvanized lines. The other stuff doesn't, there's a problem that the galvanized does. And we did survey, we sent letters out, cards, did phone calls to find out what kind of service it was, what kind of lines. We'd go out and take it up real close to the meter and visually inspect. That's how they came up with the 2000, what's it, 2050, I can't see, that's the screens out.
That's right.
Of galvanized lines. And you'll hear more about that in just a little bit. See if this will change. There it is. Now we'll talk about this and we can do this again. What we're doing here, the project purpose is, of course, to address the lead service line issue. We've got to remove it. We're under a mandate. It's not you want to do it or whatever. Federal government, the state health department, so on top, everybody get rid of the lead service line. And you've seen it on the news all across the country. So that's the first item. The second part is pretty self-explanatory. Replace aging infrastructure. Now remember, we've been at this for a long time. So you take a street, and we're going to do this block at a time when they start doing this contractors. You've got the line running up your street, the main line, and you've got these little service lines going through the meters up, all up the street, you see? So we're going to dig up and replace those service lines. We've got these old main lines. All that ground is moving over. Let's go ahead and fix that because maybe this year, next year, 2 years, 3 years, we're going to be digging that street up again. So we're going to replace that. Everything will be new. So that'll be a big savings and time and money. So that's what that's all about, replacing aging lines as well as other service lines. And the last thing is the advantage of getting the government money. This project is done in 3 phases. First phase is we're going to do Northview and Staley and so on. I'll talk about that in a minute. Other parts of the city will be based you as first out. Okay, so it could be easy thing. For another community, I said, well, let's raise everybody's rates. Now, can you imagine us raising your rate 59 to come up with 59 million and then go to the next phase and whatever? We didn't go there. We spent a couple of years working with Doug and Thrasher, people from Region 6 Planning Development Council and different agencies, federal agencies looking for federal grants, money, that's free money. And we were very, very successful after a lot of hard work. What we did, we received 24.2 billion grants. So that's a bit of money. But we still had the remaining $34.9 million that we had to come up with. That's done by getting a loan, getting loans. So we went out and looked at Thrasher with people. They searched every place, looked behind every tree and bushed it everywhere. And I mean, they worked hard. So what we did, we came up to borrow that money. All that money will be less than 1% financial, 1% loan. Most of it is either 0.25 of 1% or 0.75, ranging in payback from 30 or 40 years. That's why the rate increases are very, very small because we're spreading it over a long period of time. That's what we're doing with that. Coming to the end of my little presentation here. So we have the big picture here. It's a multi-year project. This is the first phase. You know, then we have a phase coming up within this next year. We'll be doing the same thing we're doing tonight in other neighborhoods. Now, we don't know which ones those will be, is that right, Doug? We got to determine that, but we'll do the same process. So while we're working on this and removing these lines with contractors, we're going to start working on getting other contractors to go on so we can get this job done. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take several years to do it. So the other thing, we will touch all parts of the city, just as I mentioned. The city and so on are our direct customers. So you're going to be affected by this. And the last thing on the right, she said, it says, this phase will include, I got to read over what you can see, Staley, that's all the neighborhoods, Northview, all the neighborhoods, Main Street and Pike Street. Now I'll explain that a little bit. We are under a pressure on the West Virginia Department of Highways because in September, October period next year, they're going to be tearing those streets up and repaving all that. And it'd be crazy for us to delay. This was going to be planned later, like in Main Street, we're going to go down the road. But since they're going to tear all of that up, it'd be foolish for them to build these streets and we come in and tear it all up again. So we're working really fast to get that done. And it also will be from Wendy's down in the West End on Main Street, all the way out to Hardin's, on the other street, Mike Street, all the way out to Menards. The same time, because we're doing all this stuff, I think, effective, smart about it. City Clarksburg is going to replace its sewage lines. So they're going to do their work while we do ours. They're deeper in the street, so we're putting water lines in, they'll be doing sewage. I talked to all utilities, power company and Hope Gas. Guess what? Hope Gas said, well, you guys are tearing the street up. We were going to do it anyway. So we're all three going to participate to do that at one time. It makes sense. And then the other thing I want to explain too, it says Rosebud. Now, Rosebud is not the trailer for all this. This is just a single line. And it would go from the area near Village Square Conference Center, out the Armory Road, out by the Armory, that long road going out there. That line's got to be replaced. And that doesn't include Villadale or back. And then the last one is Chestnut Hills. I think people at Chestnut Hills think, oh, they're going to do our neighborhood. It's only one street. It's Kramer. It's Avenue, not Street. And we're going to put a new line in there. It's going to go across Kramer and up through our right of way. We have a right of way there because we used to have some water tanks. It'll gradually end up lying below the YMCA on top of us. So once you understand that, this is very important for the success of our system. We have to do it. We're under a mandate. The last thing is that it's the ability to modernize and provide modern infrastructure for growth, economic growth, whatever, or improving the system. It'll be much easier with this new system. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all. One thing I would add, when I walked up here a minute ago, I looked and I said, well, I don't see change over in church, so we're again. Everybody's sitting back there in the ministries up here. Everybody sit in the back of the room back here. Do they do that in the church? At my church, they do a lot. So anyway, thanks for having us. If I don't get to talk to you again here, Merry Christmas to all of you. This is Duff from Thrasher.
I'll put a little box.
It's all right. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. So what are we going to do here? What's our timeline? The easy thing is most of the work is going to start sometime in January. That means everybody will be bringing their stuff in, starting to bring in pipe and materials. You will start to see the equipment coming into town. You may see some of the streets starting to be worked on. You know, a lot of it's going to depend on January comes and all of a sudden we get a huge blast of Arctic area here that they're going to wait until that goes away. So, you know, but generally speaking, Northview and Staley, the two bigger projects are going to start in January of 25 and they'll go to December of 27. Rosebud, 25, January to December of next year. And Pike and Main, February to October, as Al talked about. October is kind of our deadline, so make sure we get in before in time to allow the dealers to do the work. Now, part of my job being here is to set what I'll call expectations, so that we're all understanding that this is not going to be a bed of roses we're talking about, okay? We may finish up with Pike and Main, and the DOH may wait till spring to do their paving. We will have a temporary paving down over top of it, but just realize, depending on their schedule, what they've got available, they may not jump in immediately as soon as we are done. So again, what I want to do is, one thing I'll tell you is I will always tell you the truth to the best of my knowledge. You may not like my truth, but I will always tell you that. Fair enough? So just a kind of a broad overlook on these things. And so this is kind of the areas where we talk about the upper north view, circled in yellow. And the light blue down here, of course, is Staley. The red is Northview and Pike, and the purple down here, I'm sorry, it's Pike and Main. And the purple here at the bottom is the Rosebud area. Just generally speaking, and so just kind of showing you as we look at Staley, and the yellow lines you see are where work is going to occur. And this is the Rosebud area, and it's out talking about one single line up through there. And if we look at Northview, now Northview's a little bit different here. And what you'll see in Northview, the yellow is where we are replacing service lines and a bunch of main lines. The purple is where we are changing service lines only. They're not changing the mains. And what we did is we went through these. At some point, you just kind of have to draw a line and say, okay, when do we stop things? And the yellow lines were based upon a couple of things. We looked at the number of services that needed to be replaced in a block or an area. And we said, okay, if over 2/3 of those need to be replaced and the line is of a certain age, then we're going to replace the main also. And some of those purple areas might not be that criteria. There might be one or two lead service lines on that street, or if there was a line replaced there since 1887. So, you know, there's things like that that are happening all the time. And then, of course, downtown, same kind of thing. And again, the thing to kind of expand a little bit on what I said, this was a tremendous opportunity to get things done and to look into the future and prevent duplicative work. Because we as a water company needed to do the work, the city needed to do some sanitary work. We weren't really planning to do that this summer, but the DOH, we had got wind that they were going to go ahead and pave this past summer. And we were about to have to go through, after they finished paving, we were going to tear it up. And then the sanitary board was going to come in later, tear it up again. Then the gas company was going to tear it up again. Okay. So with and the good thing about this is we are doing this and we are going to have one contractor do this work. He's got a timeline to get done by October. We did not want to have more than one contractor doing the sanitary and the water. So we had a guy running in, getting the water done, and then the sanitary guy coming in and breaking the water line. And pointing your fingers at whose fault is. One contractor, one person, or one account. So that's like one thing. The other thing, by doing this in the way we're doing, we're saving about $1 to $1.5 million in paving costs. But the DOH is going to do, but we're not going to have to do because of the finished paving. Again, trying to save our ratepayers just a few bucks here and there when we can. So again, well, I'm an engineer, but I'm a realist too. I don't come here, I don't try to blow smoke and tell you guys anything. So what are we going to do? If you've been around a lot of construction, you know it. This is going to be a whole lot of construction. Okay. So you are going to see noise, dust. I mean, you're going to have mud on the road. It's our best to keep those clean. And we're going to have inspectors out on site. In addition to a couple of those guys at the moment, but you cannot expect that we are going to do this work and not have any inconveniences at all. Again, we are doing a tremendous amount of work in each of these areas. There are going to be some issues. Now, part of settling that is communication between all of you. your water board, the city, emergency services, garbage, running in the area, all of these people making sure we're coordinating the bus routes so that they know when these things are occurring. We've already had conversations with these. It's any of those, utilities, organizations that say they've never heard of this. I talked to somebody else because they heard it. We have dealt with this, some of the work is going to be completed at night. And this is mostly in the, Pike and Main Street area. They have dictated some of them will do that work at night. I don't think we got anything dictated at night in residential areas, so we're trying to keep that at minimum. We should expect there's going to be regular. There are going to be, you can't have an excavator, a dump truck bringing in gravel, and another dump truck that's hauling dirt out of there. And I mean, let's be realistic. It's not like we've got Route 50 running up the middle of these streets. These streets are mostly, for the most part, 1.5 lanes wide, 2 lanes. One side, traffic. So we will have at times sections closed down so that the construction can occur. We hope, and our plan is that things will work out, that our communication distributed will go that well in advance. Through some other areas we'll talk about here in just a moment. But again, my biggest thing is I don't want you guys to be surprised about anything. If there's going to be road closure, if there's going to be a water outage, well, we are going to have some times when we have to turn the water off in order to connect system in. You saw all the yellow lines. We got to do a lot of interconnection. We're not going to build that whole system and then turn it all at once. We'll build a street or two, switch them over, street or two, switch them over. So you're going to have multiple times that certain areas are going to be turned off and out of service. That gets really ridiculous when, if you can imagine, you come to an intersection and you basically have crossing the road, we've got the lines going all 4 directions. Well, you're going to have to shut those down, and you're going to have at least 4 streets coming out of there to shut down. Okay. I'm just trying to get you guys prepared that these things are going to happen. They're part of construction, but we hope that most of these tie-ins will occur and they will be 2 to 3 hours. Okay, if we can get them done, but you will have the occasion when we do go try to do a tie-in to an existing pipe. We might find that pipe breaks. Yeah. And these we're connecting the new line to the old one. Okay. And so you will experience when we do that these pipes that are here now, and as Al talked about, your system is about 137 years old. And some of those pipes in the ground are still there in the original system. So when they get in there, they go further, they have something longer. But anticipated connections are anticipated to be about 2 to 3 hours. Again, part of the issue just narrow roads. I know hills over in Staley and Hall Street, and I can tell you that if you have vehicles parked there, and I was pulling a little dump trailer up through there, and I was terrified that I was going to buy the side of someone's car. It is just narrow. So we do have those issues. Again, some houses will need to have their service lines replaced. And so let's go ahead and talk about that. So there's very specific scenarios, as Al alluded to, that you may get your side of the service line reimbursed for. So let's talk about that. It is very specific that if the water utility has lead on their side, and then the customer, for you, has either lead or galvanized line, then you have the opportunity to have your line replaced at the expense of the water board. Okay, and typically that is going to be a reimbursement, but it can be done so that if you work with your right plumber, then you don't have any out of pocket. You can talk to your plumber and go, hey, I need you to repair this line, do the connection, Give me the invoice, and I'm gonna run down to the, water board. Typically, we talk about no more than 2 weeks, we get reimbursed. They write checks about once a week, and so therefore it kind of depends on when you come in as to when you will get your reimbursement, okay? And then you can go and pay the plumber, or if you have enough money, you can go ahead and pay the plumber and then write the check back to you, and you're good to go, okay? So those are a couple of scenarios. Now, again, let me be clear, if the water company has a plastic line on their side, and you have a galvanized line on your side, then the reimbursement does not apply. It only applies under those conditions that if the utility has a lead line to start with, and it is followed either by a galvanized or a lead. Okay? Reason being, lead lines, so the lead lines on the utility side has tiny particulates that can come out of it, and they are attracted to the galvanized. They, through a chemical process, they connect to it, and then they can hold the lead in place, and so that it can't be released down the later day. So the EPA has determined that while we are removing these lead lines, if there's a galvanized line there, they should be as well. Now, you as the homeowner can refuse to do that. You can be, Mr. West Virginia that says, nobody will tell me I have to protect myself. And you can choose to keep your galvanized line. Personally, I'll go to the board and say that's a very foolish thing to do. You're going to get a free line out of it, and you're going to be, have a line that is more healthy for your family. So I don't expect we're going to have any problems with that. I just realize. And so the process is, we are not going to have our contractors do that work for you. We understand some people are very particular about what they want working on their property, in their house, because this lead line has to go from the meter through your property into your house to the nearest shut-off valve or fitting that's available. So, I don't want to hire a contractor going into your house and want you to hire a company that you are good with. Now, we're going to work to get a business from that are certified, insured. They will be available at the city hall list. Choose whichever of those moments you want to do. And then again, get them to come to your board, send us the receipts, and we'll reimburse. Okay?
If they have this list, it's certified plumber, you just can't go out and have somebody who's not on it. For the reimbursement, these people have to know what they're doing, so we can report to the federal government that we did it with their standards. And one more important thing is, you can come along, and this has to be done pretty close to when they're doing the change out of the line, the lines and so on. If you come along like 6 months after this or a year from now, I'm not going to pay you. There'll be just a window of opportunity for you to agree to do it. Once if you don't, we just can't tell them, I'll do it next year or 2 years from now, I'll change my mind. There will be just a window of opportunity, and that's it.
Yeah, and great point, Al, because realize we are getting this tremendous influx of money, and we're allowed to use that money to do this work for us. However, at some point when the project starts closing out and we say, well, Joe Ball chose not to do this, then guess what? EPA wants their money back so that they can give it to somebody else. So I would much rather than every penny of that free money we got available here in Clarksburg, rather than give it to EPA, is in California or something. Okay, so we want to take advantage of this money as much as possible. Get your lines replaced and go forward. One other thing, and so as we go through this and we are replacing, there will be some places, like I say, where we will replace our side of the line. There will be no work done on your side of the line. However, because we are putting new meter pits and stuff in, these new meter pits will have a check valve in it, which stops your flow from coming back into the city. And that is part of the requirement from EPA as we do this work. That could cause a particular problem in some people's homes down the road, and you'll probably want to expense just go and install a small water expansion. That's what happens is you've got a check valve, you've got a certain amount of water in there, your hot water heater kicks on. And if you know a little bit about water and heat, when you heat up the water, it starts to expand and will cause the pressure in the system to get higher. It can cause your pop-off valve in the water heater to spit out water. If you're close to where you're at, let's say you've got 100 pounds of pressure normally in your water system, it could potentially push that up to 110 or 120, which would then cause your washer and dryers to leak as well. So those are kind of things we'll continue to put out advisories on system. Working with this minor stuff, they literally cut a T inside their service and a little old tiny 1 gallon size bladder tank sits there. So it's not anything major, but it is something you'll want to do. Now, if you've got a, 10,000 square foot home with a whole bunch of pipes, then you probably won't have to do that. But most homes will need that type, just to be careful, to be safe.
It's not a major installation. It's a pretty simple procedure.
Oh, it's very simple. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
Oh, no, hot water. Yeah, and so again, it's very simple. I mean, you've got a water line on the hot water side, turn the water off on the low side, cut out a small piece, you put it in your T, and run it over to just a bladder tank that sits there, connect it all back up. It's done. Yeah, I mean,
We're just turning hot water.
It's very hot water, it's not just super.
As long as it's not,
Yeah.
it's all like a lot. I think I like Mike's in the stove, we got an experience to make water. Turn it down.
and again, you might say, you know what, I'll just run the risk and not want to do it, being, you know, at some point when it happens, I'll do it that time. I just, again, I'm trying to give you the good and the bad of stuff in this thing, so you know what's going on. So how are we going to handle these things? You know, again, we're out in there, we know things are going to be happening. These projects are going to be 20 to 30 months long. Going to be a lot of work going on. There are going to be issues, we know, something, we got dirt on the street or anything like that. But we're going to have a ton of inspectors out there. So for instance, we've already talked to the guys who are working on Pike and Main. They go, start talking about their schedule. Just on Pike and Main, they intend to have 4 crews working on that section. And so we're going to have inspectors out doing that. And for your system, we're waiting for the contractor to tell us how many crews he's going to have working here. He may have 4, he may have 6, I don't know, but we'll have inspectors on the job out there. And so we will have multiple inspectors when they show up. And then Bobby, who I believe is from the North area. Okay, so he is the gentleman who is watching over all of the inspectors. So we'll have his name and his phone number and his email address published on the website for Clarksburg, so that anytime you have any issue, you can get a hold of him directly. He'll be able to talk to his inspectors, and we get those things taken care of. One thing I will bring up at both of you is if you guys know of somebody who has a unique medical condition that can't have roads closed off or something like that. I've had to deal with people in the past who have in-home dialysis stuff, and they cannot, be that they have someone showing up every day to do this stuff. Have them contact us and roll over and see these guys out in the street, grab one of them and say, hey, I need so had an issue. So here. We're going to be talking to garbage. For some issues, coming out there, it's the mail delivery people, going down the streets we have around. You're going to try in we talk on the outside, websites, Facebook communications. We're going to do some phone call blasts and going out to unique things that are happening. Newspaper updates, We'll see how often those occur, because typically we look, we do them once a week, but considering we may not be moving that fast here because of how tight the roads are. So if I tell you that, you know, they're going to be on, Pride Street, I may not change it in 2 weeks, but they may be on Pride Street for 2 weeks. Okay? And so those are the like things to do. I think the newspaper will go ahead and publish those stores. We're going to ask them to publish them every week. It may or may not change. But take a look at those. We let you practice for at least anticipate what is going to happen the following week. So we'll make sure that they're probably going to be put in paper on Fridays. And therefore, you will know how to work your week on Monday for the next Friday. So what is the next sense? All these things, we're right up against construction guys. They will, again, maybe start in December, sometime to bring stuff in, it looks like January, February timeframe. Next, we are trying to get the website up for this project. This will be a separate website for the story of the Clarksburg water board. And so that is tentatively scheduled to be up in about a month or so. And so it'll be about the time when construction starts, and then it'll be updated from there going out again. We'll have 30 months of this kind of stuff. So that's, if you've got the ability to look at the website, that is probably going to be your most up-to-date information that's going to be available.
Everybody gets one of those. There's a section that the messages on there. It won't be about different times, but there might be some things you'd like to tell us, so look at your bill. And that's when they also can send you some messages.
It is, and one of the things we talked about last night, do please pay attention to your bill, because at least the next one of the couple that gets out will have Bobby's phone number on that bill for you to read also. So everybody will have an opportunity to get that direct communication of what its phone number and email address is. Okay. So again, keep your eyes on those bills. You want to be able to generate that and get that in your hand. So that, you know, we all want to go as smooth as possible, but everybody knows stuff happens. So this is the contact information for Clarksburg. And at the moment, if you have any direct questions for them, then go to that number. We'll provide additional contact. So what the real thing we'll do is, again, you'll have inspectors that you your face-to-face people every day that you will see out there. Bobby is going to need to drive around, check on everybody, making sure if for some reason, and I can't foresee this, but if for some reason you're not satisfied with that, we're going to have the ability, Dwayne is going to have his phone number as well. Okay. Dwayne, over him, we're going to have a gentleman who could not be here tonight. We have a different meeting. Is Steve Haynes. He is the project engineer. He has seen every single site out there. He knows things better than I do. I'm the project manager, so I'm kind of watching the engineers do the design and working on money and that kind of stuff. But if you ask me where, you know, what in all street is, I couldn't tell you. Top of my head, these guys don't. So we're going to have a multi-layer group here that if you have something to address or need addressed, you'll have multiple people you can talk to. We really prefer you talk to Bobby first and get it there. But if for some reason you can't, feel free to call the action and say, I need to talk to Doug Smith now. Okay? And if I'm not with another person, I will call you or I'll answer the phone. If I don't answer the phone, I'll call you back. So let's go ahead and start talking about questions. What do you guys have?
We have, yes. We have Marissa here. We're going to play like they do the night show, and I'm going to find out the audience so people can hear questions. I want to mention Jason, our general manager. Last night, we had these maps back there. People were looking for their house to see if they had lead line and all that. Well, it took a while because he had to find it. He's got the most up-to-date information. Tell him what you can do. This is very important. I said, you'll want this.
Yeah, did everybody get a letter? A couple weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving, you got a letter. And on that letter, we told you the story we heard tonight. And also on the subject of that letter, you had your address, and then below that told you what your customer service line material was made of.
Everybody see that. Everybody got the question.
It was up in the top part of the letter.
There's a little line there, had your street address, and what item of service.
Now, on that letter, we did not take what's on our side. As Al was telling you all, there's two sides to a service line. You have the utility service line, which is from the main to the meter, and you have a customer service line, which is from the meter to the serve structure. Okay? So if you are interested, I brought the database with me here. Bob, give me your address. I can tell you, again, this is not 100%. This is based on a lot of factors. It's based on visual inspection, service records, customer surveys, predictive modeling. So, but we feel pretty confident with our data. But again, it's not 100%. If you're interested on verifying anything, come up and see me. I'll read your address and I can tell you right away on both sides of the meter of what your service line is. Okay? Thank you. You want to field some questions?
Yes, ma'am. So, so the question is, if you don't own the property.
Hold the mic to your face.
Let's do this. We'll do better than what is there now. So there are conditions where we have, concrete, grass.
Yeah. Hey, folks, that's what you go to. This, you can tell this guy's not an old DJ guy like me. You hold the mic there, you don't go. Talk. When you were talking, you were doing this.
It's not working on there.
Oh, yeah, it's working.
So the question is, how long do you have to wait to get your restoration done? I can't say that it's going to be next week, but it will be in the time of here, because what they have to do is all of the stuff that they're, we've got what is called a stormwater construction over there that is monitoring on West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection. Okay? And so we take more pride in what they do, and we will be asking them to immediately address these things. Now, you know, if they start one into the street, they're probably not going to fix that until they get the street, or until they get enough concrete to do the function. Because buying concrete 1 yard at a time versus 10 yards is much different than ours. So, but if you reach the point where you go, hey, I've been sitting here 3 months, nothing is wrong, you call me and we will get that there.
It collects the main water line. On the street.
Okay.
They came and on Henderson Avenue, they actually just replied, they go all the way down. My house on the corner of Henderson Avenue. I don't think they replaced the line for my meter. But I did know that. So exactly, and also something that had to be replaced.
So the question is, there was a couple of improvements in the streets near his house in the corner. And the service line was not replaced at that time. The main streets, I don't know, we can look at the maps and see if there is a place that doesn't replace or not. Yeah. Yeah.
It replaced the main water line all the way up to Main Street and then slightly down to Henderson.
Here's my guess, again, we have to look and see that if it is not, well, that's service line, and it was, a new line in there, that line will probably will be replaced. Okay, under this particular project. Now, if it is a good service line, yes, but maybe.
I know I can also, to me, my house was occupied.
Right.
So, you know, none of that is a problem.
Right, so it'll just depend on what the material is on the utility side. Yes.
Well, all the everything that you know about this will be.
So the question is, how sure are we of what, how thorough do we know where the lead service lines are in this area? Pretty good, I will not say in this, because a lot of it was visual. And so what we would do is put down inside of a meter pit, and we would scratch lead service line, and you can see lead is very different than galvanized when you look at it scratched. Totally different than plastic and stuff. The other thing, maybe there are no main lines here, but none. I'm not sure that there would ever be main lines main below. There's old cast iron. What?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's different. Well, yeah, I'll tell you, so I've never seen one, but it will be.
I have two questions. One is on the streets, want to have many lines for them. You mentioned 2-3 hours without service at times. I vision that no longer than 2-3 hours, if it's a full line. And the second question is, how are these reform was arranged? When this is going to happen, it's going to set off.
So I think, he's questioning my assumption of 2-3 hours. I will say, under normal circumstances, that's what they do, is they put signs in, they have this oriented on the time and generally relatively quickly. However, I will say my experiences with the Clarksburg has been that every time you go to fix the one valve, you have to fix 2 more behind. And so I expect we will end up with a little bit of longer shutdowns, especially on main lines, yes. And then what was the second part?
Who's going that?
So our anticipation is that we will do a couple of things. They will be on the website. We will notify them in the newspaper as well. Typically, what we insist on is that our contractor goes around, knocks on doors, and at door handles and says, you will anticipate being off at 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock noon.
Guys, that's a fine, okay? Okay. And somebody's a partner, maybe. Noisy here, since I'll be quiet. Hey. I have a question concerning instructional. When streets are closed, we've had at least on Main Street, they know that that street is closed, it's signed, and somewhere other things don't say, where it's the street. Okay.
All right, so the question is, if we have construction occurring, basically in the middle of the street, how is this file from somebody coming down here, how is there to construction? If there is any type of excavation occurring, what we will have never step down, then we will have signage at any intersection says, or we'll try to only, or the street is closed, those kind of things, so we don't want to not move them to 95 hours. Also, importantly, we will have those notified every day on 911, so we don't have an ambulance to run down. Fire truck, and that's the backup. They will be aware of that, don't put that in their system, where they route people and stuff, so they'll be able to go.
Yes. So we don't have to do anything on our speed,
dollars, yeah. Now, are we still gonna have that issue? Or we're gonna need the guys,
Yes, so the question is why it's stated in what used longer than the other project is because there's much more footage involved in installing it. Yes. And also because downtown work, and that's a very short timeline for the using trade. No, no, but that, so the question is, sewer lines or gas lines in any other projects that only applies to Pike and Main. And the others will be simply water lines only. Yeah, and so the question, what do we know that we need to do for water service replacement? So as we see, we're going to keep you guys up to date as much as possible. We should know several weeks out in advance of when these water lines are going to be. So let's say, again, I have a house on Hall Street. And so what we would do is know that 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, we'll start on that. Now, it might be 6 or 7 weeks before they actually get water in the line. So we would tell you, hey guys, we'll do yours. Hey guys, let's go talk to the plumbers, get ready for this. And then we will tell you, once the new line is energized and ready, okay, you can hire your plumber now and come do your work. Yes, if we are putting a new meter pit in, the meter pit is going to have a check valve in it that stops that water from moving back and forth. Yes. Any other questions, guys? If not, again, on this table over here, are the construction things we don't do. In the back is state in downtown and Roseland. Yeah, again, if you want to check up here and fix it, you can check and see what is on your side and what is on the other side. That's what we need.
Hey, Al?
Okay, no more questions. Thank you guys so much for showing in. If you have additional questions, please, there's an email address in the email. Please call or send.
Okay, guys, I want to thank you all for coming again. Thank you, Patty and St. James for hosting us. We may have another meeting like this sometime, you never know, but we want to wish you all again a very, very, very Christmas. And thanks for coming tonight. Thank you very much. Have any questions? It's good holdings.